shirt.
Both great.
Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Netflix Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Netflix Christmas movies.
I'm Jax, and I am charmed by Netflix Christmas movies.
I'm Alonzo, and I'm perpetually keeping an open mind about Netflix Christmas movies. And this
is the
Deck the
Netflix podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
You know, I consider myself a professional, and I for some reason I looked over and something in my head went, I saw you and I saw the Deck the Hallmark and then was like, it's not Hallmark, it's Netflix in my brain, and decided to go with Net the Netflix.
Net the Netflix.
It's the Net
it's
the
the
Netflix
new name.
podcast.
It's the new name.
It's the Net the
I want there to be an alternate theme song where it's like Deck the Netflix.
Netflix. Well, hello everybody. Happy Monday. It's good to be back. We did miss you guys last week. It was tough not starting my week with Deck the Netflix.
Wasn't the same.
Well, you know, Hallmark drops 8 movies. You got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. That's exactly right.
Did you guys get to all of them? Have you watched them all yet?
No, I'm still catching up. The Thanksgiving week is where it all goes to hell, and I'll be straggling the night before we record the review show.
You'll be just powering through at the end there.
Jack says, someone who was kicked to the curb by the Crown. Have you been keeping up this year?
Unceremoniously.
That's
right. The title of the
expelled
Jacqueline
from
Collier,
the castle.
The Jacqueline Collier memoir is called "Kicked to the Curb by the Crown."
Yes,
it's great.
Have you been watching Hallmark Christmas movies this year?
I have been watching some of them. I watched the Radio City one. I watched Cookie Catastrophe because I love Rachel Boston. Wait, what was on Friday night? Elise.
Hashtag Xmas?
Hashtag Xmas. No, actually, sorry. I did miss hashtag Xmas, but I will get to it. And I really liked Haul Out the Holly.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cute.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really nice thing. I guess I watched 3 out of the 8, and I thought they were all really cute.
3 out of the 8.
Yeah.
3 out of the 8. That's all.
37
like a normal person.
Yeah,
like a normal person's amount of these.
That's right.
But I think like a decent amount of support for a company that fired me.
That's true.
Right?
No.
More than they deserve, really.
Yeah, you pledging 37.5% support for a company that fired you.
The fact that you're still going to listen to us that much when we fire you is really encouraging. It's good to know that we won't see the dip.
Yeah, that's a conversation for after the episode, Brand.
So did I say that?
We would never.
No. We would never.
Jax is family.
She'll be firing you.
That's right.
Jax is fired, but weirdly enough, you still might see her next year on Winkles the Heart. I don't know how it's possible.
Wild.
I don't know how that's possible.
Thanks to Ted.
Well, shout out to Ted.
Shout out to Ted.
Noel Diary is the last Netflix one that we're going to be covering this calendar year. It was a real boy. It was not an animated flick. It was the real boy. There is a Christmas Carol animated flick that we'll get to, I believe in 23. But next week, a lot of people have asked, when are you guys doing Spirited? And it is next Monday.
That's right.
Just calm down. Stop asking.
I got to watch it still.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there when we get there. Let's talk about Noel Diary. It originally aired on November 24th on the Netflix, and it went a little something like this. The movie kicks off with a girl sitting and writing what I can only assume is a Noel diary.
Wow. Right out of the gate.
Yeah. Cut to a long line of people waiting in the cold to meet a famous author, Jake Turner. He shows up for the book signing, and people are freaking out because of his books and his good stories. It has nothing to do with the fact that he is a stone cold hunk. One woman asked,
as writers tend to be,
Right, absolutely they are. One woman asked if he's going to be staying in the city for the holiday, and he says that he has to go home to his girl, Ava. The woman is crushed to find out that he has a girlfriend. He does not have a girlfriend. He has a dog, who is a girl named Ava. He's hanging out by himself, chilling with Ava. He gets a call from an unknown number where he finds out that his mom passed away last week. They had not spoken in a long time, and the attorney on the phone tells him that his mom left everything to him and that he needs to come and sign some papers. So he packs up, he heads back home. He gets to his mom's house, and he's flooded with emotion, and he sees when he's getting ready to walk in, he sees a girl across the street just staring at him like a horror movie. He walks into the house full of stuff. His mom was a hoarder, but his bedroom remains exactly the same, completely untouched. He gets to work cleaning up the house, catches up with his neighbor from way back then, who is still a neighbor now, and keeps seeing the woman across the street staring at him. So the across the street lurker is Rachel. I saw Across the Street Lurker live. Amazing, by the way. Rachel knocks on the door, comes in, and apparently her mother was the family nanny. And she's trying to find out more about her mom, who she never got to meet. And Rachel is looking for any information about her mom. Doesn't even know her name. Just knows that at one point her last known residence was this house. So Jack doesn't remember her, but they get talking about music and connecting over oldies, so they're going to get married. He says that we should talk to my neighbor, Ellie. But she goes on a date, and so Rachel and Jake just go to a diner. No, not a diner. They go to dinner at an Italian restaurant, and we find out that she doesn't know who he is, even though he's very famous and has like his name, his face on buses, and all is engaged to a man named Alan. They come back to the house. He plays her a song on the piano. She sings along. It's a moment. Ellie remembers Rachel's mother, but not her name. Something Christmassy is all that she can come up with. But she says that Jake's father would know. Jake's not into this idea. Has not talked to his father in 35 years. But finally, eventually comes around to the idea, and it's time for a road trip. While they're traveling, a notebook falls out of his backpack. She opens it up and finds out that it's her mom's diary. It's the Noel diary.
Noel diary?
It's the Noel diary.
Wow.
Rachel begins to read the diary, and we see like through the movie flashes of her mom as a nanny taking care of the boys. And she asks about his brother, and he begins to tell the story about how his brother died, but we're not privy to that information at this point. At this point in time, we just get to see a cool train. So they end up stopping at a diner. They read some more of the diary. They order some food and whatnot, and they're going to stay the night at a hotel. But first, Rachel stops at a bookstore and picks up the first of Jake's novel. There's a series of
the first of Jake's novels,
just
with an S.
I don't like you at all. Then they walk around. They go to a Christmas market. They watch It's a Wonderful Life outside. They're having a wonderful time, and they get back to the hotel. They have Rig's favorite conjoining rooms. And they kind of talk, and
that's adjoining in this case.
Oh, that is.
Yes.
Why in this case?
You know, conjoining twins?
Yes, of course.
Like that, but rooms.
Right.
You got it.
So why in this case is it adjoining?
There's a door that separates them.
But you always say conjoining.
Yeah, because at the Red Roof Inn, they're like conjoining rooms.
So that's a Red Roof Inn thing? That's not a you. Thing. So you know the difference.
Yes. There's one other feature of conjoining rooms.
What?
My pants.
I didn't see it coming. So he kind of like peeks in and see her reading the book, and he's like, "Yeah."
Do you have a problem adding S's to words today?
What did I say this time?
He looks around the corner and see her.
Whatever, man. Back off. I've had a day. Okay, I've had a day, and I don't see you. Don't come in here. You don't ask me how my day's been. You just immediately start poking fun. The next day they go and they're in the car, and she's reading the diary, and she becomes a little bit overwhelmed by emotion. She says, "Stop the car." They go out in the cold, and they almost kiss. remember, she's engaged to a guy named Alan. They're interrupted by the dog chasing a bunny. Classic. They get to his dad's house, and his dad's like, hey, you're just in time to help me decorate the tree. No big deal here. He's like, man, you can't just say sorry and expect it to all be good. He's like, I'm out of here. But Rachel talks him into staying, and he's glad that he does because they do end up talking, reconnecting, decorating the tree, hugging. It's all a good time. And they finally invite her out from the snow into the house, and so that she can ask questions about the mom. And they find out some things, and Jake's dad is like, hey, I got something. It's a letter from Noel saying that she's getting married, inviting him to the wedding. And so they have some more information, which is great. And so they get back on the road, and they get to the point where they have to stop for the night. And so they stay at another hotel. This time there's only one room. All right, guys, I see what we're doing here. One room, and we find out that it's her birthday. And so birthday ends with dancing and cake and birthday cake. Maybe even use your imagination. Maybe even Alan's not here today. It's my birthday. So, you know how it goes. The next day he wakes up. He's sad that Rachel is not there. She left a note saying, hey, this is complicated. I don't like complicated. Don't try to find me, basically. He then leaves, finds her mom, thanks her for all that she did for him after his brother's death, and like it meant a lot finding out all this stuff about her. And also, I know your daughter, she's great. We go to Rachel's house. She's at her parents' house for Christmas, and Jake keeps trying to call her. She keeps saying no. Finally, she picks up and she's like, stop calling me. I don't want you to find me. And he's like, sorry, too late. Look out the window. And they have a conversation on the phone through a window where basically he's like, hey, I'm not done with this. And she's like, Alan's coming. You got to leave. And he's like, I'm not leaving unless you tell me that you don't love me. And so she's like, I don't love you. And he's like, dang it, I shouldn't have said that. But walks over. He's like, I guess I'm leaving now. And so he gets back to his mom's house and finds a stack of letters from his dad that he didn't know existed. The letters, he knew his dad existed. And it's like, oh, great. He goes to leave, and he looks across the street, and Rachel is there. And he's like, yay. And that, my friends, was the Noel Diary.
We did it.
We did do it, everybody. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we are going to break down the Noel Diary. Diaries? Diary.
Diary singular.
Is it just a
That
singular
time there is
diary?
not an S.
Whatever, man. Just I don't know. Deck the Hallmark.
Like the Netflix.
Whatever. Yeah. Hello, everybody.
You can't plan for us to be that funny. I'm just telling you, like, there's just no world where you're like, stop correcting me. We'll be back on Deck the Hallmark instead of Netflix. That's as good as it gets, guys.
As good as it gets. Guys, let's break down the Noel Diary on the Netflix. Excited to break this one down. Let's see what everybody thought. I'm going to start with you, Jax. What'd you think of the Noel Diary?
Really quickly before we get into that, Bran, how was your day?
Thank you for asking.
Oh my God!
It's been a good day.
Stop it.
It's been a good day.
Unbelievable.
It's been busy already, but it's been good. It's been
the
good.
Emotional labor of women.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
I brought Brandon lunch today. I want to be clear. I brought him lunch.
You brought me dry tenders.
And
You brought me dry tenders without barbecue
I don't even
sauce.
get a thank you.
He brought me
That's Daniel's love language.
He brought me dry tenders without a barbecue sauce. He knows what he did.
Got him a milkshake from Cookout. It's not even a thank you. No, I know, right?
Yeah, Cookout's amazing.
Yeah.
Not upset about Cookout, to be clear.
I prefer the tenders at Hoodoo Magoo's, whatever that place.
Oh, yeah.
Hoodoo Magoo's. That's exactly
Magoo's
right.
is the best tenders, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's the filet mignon of
Hoodoo
tenders.
Magoo's.
Jax, what'd you think about the Noel Diary?
Okay, so plot-wise, and we'll get into a little bit more in the rest of the segments, but plot-wise, 3/4 of this, I was like, yes, go. And then it fell apart a little bit for me. But what I will say is that the acting in this movie is incredible. I think the chemistry between Justin Hartley and Barrett Doss is off the charts. I think there's some really tender, beautiful moments that truly tug at the heartstrings in a not emotionally manipulative way. And this is kind of, for me, it's the kind of premise that is just gold for me. Like, I like this character of Jacob, the type of books he writes. I want to read them. I'm a former babysitter and nanny, so that whole plot line intrigues me. So it's checking a lot of boxes for me, but it wasn't quite a slam dunk.
Good use of
sports
basketball.
That's great.
Well, Larry Bird 33, that was Jacob's favorite player in his old room. So I'm a huge Boston Celtics fan, you guys. Ask me on your pod.
I know that about you. Yeah, you're on the list. Don't worry.
Yep.
Let me tell you this. If I take a step back, I'm like, I love this movie. It was like, I liked the way that it happened. But then I start to remember like specific things, like they made her have a fiance. Well, that bums me out a little bit. They did like this weird thing for reasons I don't know, where they're getting ready for him to tell her how his brother died, and they just like decide to just cut to the train going by and not let you know, only to tell you the story like 10 minutes later. That was a weird choice to me.
He stalks her.
Yeah, he stalks her. There's a lot of just interesting choices in this movie, is I think the best way to describe it. There's that's an interesting choice. So when I take a step back, overall, I really did like it. But the more that I think about it, the more I don't like it. And so I'm going to choose not to think about it and just say I liked it.
Right.
Alonzo?
Well, I will say this is a handsome production. Like, this is a movie that has some money behind it.
Produced by Johnson, Big
Which
Johnson.
Is unbelievable.
Really? Wow.
I can't believe that.
I mean, like, Charles Shire was always sort of the much lesser half of the directing team of Nancy Meyers and Charles Shire. And after they got divorced, she went on to make, It's Complicated and, like a lot of, big successful movies, and him less so. But this, Dave would walk through the living room and go, oh, this is a real movie. This is a real movie, just from the way that it looked and all that kind of stuff. But man, I have a wheelbarrow of wait what's for this one that is like solid gold, if not platinum. There are some good performances. The two leads are very charming. It's great to see James Remar and Bonnie. How do you say her last name?
Badilla?
Badilla.
Bedelia.
Bonnie Bedelia. So the two of them, I think, really knock it out. But man, oh man, there is this script really needed like a page one rewrite. And if you're going to see a movie about somebody who inherits a house from a hoarder, I would recommend that you watch Driveways. And then go listen to the film and a movie episode that Dan and I did with that film's director.
Driveways is wonderful. Wonderful.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, excuse me.
Gosh,
Driveways could be good. It could be terrible.
People were going to listen to that pod, and now they don't have any reason to.
That's right.
Gosh, Dan.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What did you think, Dan?
This movie has ambiance to spare. I mean, that's real snow. The two leads have just firebrand chemistry. Justin Hartley's great. Barrett Doss, I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything before. She's wonderful. Please, let's see some more of Barrett Doss on screen. She's fantastic. James Remar, Bonnie Bedelia, both great. But good grief, can we make an actual movie, like a competent film? This is a mess. Like, forget the fact that there's a whole cheating aspect to this that they just gloss over and just go, yeah, this is fine. When the chemistry's this strong, you just cheat. I mean, that's one thing. There's so many other things in this movie that don't add up, or threads that are just pulled and never seen to their entirety. It was so hard to watch because it does trick you into thinking you're watching a good movie. Like you're sitting there going, what I'm watching is quality. I know it because of how it's shot and the lighting and the leads. But if you just get past the surface of that, it is, almost incomprehensible. And so that's unfortunate because early on I was like, oh man, this is a contender for best Christmas film of the year. And then after 30 minutes, you're like, well, this doesn't really make. And then by the end of it, when the credits starts rolling, I was like, that's it? Like, we're not getting any other. Like, it was an hour 40 and they didn't even explain everything correct. Yeah. I It was a mess. It was a mess of a movie that's really beautiful to look at.
I will say, to get to the end of this movie and not see Rachel get to meet her mom.
Thank you.
Come on, man.
Thank you. Yes, the mother and child reunion. Where the heck is that?
You know what we were all hoping for was Jake getting to meet Noel. That's what we were all like. I don't care if the daughter gets to meet her. I want Jake to meet her. Yeah. That's what we were all hoping for. That's was
the closure he needed.
That was a shocking move. That was a shocking, real Badilla. That's a real Badilla.
And you're right. That's too big to be in the wait what section.
Yeah.
They literally never let Noel.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This movie is just full of interesting choices.
A question for you guys. Do you think they intentionally left a lot of these loose ends? Because I've read that they're already talking about a second one. Like, were they trying to make the demand for that?
That has to go in the first one. You can't have an entire movie where the thrust is this woman trying to find her mother, and then they never meet.
To be like, I'm going to create this movie where this is the whole point of it, but I'm going to hold off on them meeting for the first time for the second one.
That's right.
That maybe is a button at the end of the closing credits. Like
Charles Shire is the James Cameron of Christmas movies. He's like, you know what? This Noel Diary's freaking Casablanca. You know what I'm doing? I'm saving all the payoff for the sequel that they're going to give me. That's how confident I am.
Check with me at chapter 6.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I got a whole storyboard here. There's 5 of these bad boys.
Yep. Let's talk about our feels. I feel like there's probably some feels in this one, right? Yeah, Jax?
Oh yeah, I had quite a few feels. When we're reading in Noel's diary about how much she loved little Jacob and how much she connected with him, that got me right here in the feels. You referred to it a little bit in the synopsis, Bran, but the little sexy leg that we see of Rachel when she's reading his novel, I can imagine that if I had written a novel and a sexy woman was reading my novel and I was spying on her in a kind of inappropriate way, it's a bit of a turn on, inappropriate though it
my
is.
book and those gams.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
In that order. Right.
I saw my book. I saw my book in those yams live.
Oh, so good.
So amazing.
So good.
Amazing.
Exactly.
The games were off pitch a little bit. My book was
right down the middle.
And I have one ultra specific acting moment that I watched 4 times because I just thought it was such a small but like beautiful exchange when Rachel's talking about Jacob's book. And she's, giving him the business a little bit, but then she says, I really liked it. Justin Hartley plays this moment so well. He just says, yeah. And it's so subtle and so small, but there is so much in there. And I literally watched it 4 times in a row. And I was just like, man, it was just so good. And that gave me a lot of feels. So if anyone else likes this very tiny moment, you DM me because I'm telling you, it was really good.
Can I tell you what I liked about that moment is after he said really, he kind of says that he says that's good like 3 times. Like he's almost like relieved when she's like the ending. He's like, that's good. That's thank goodness that like I clearly have feelings for this girl. That thank goodness, like that's really like that's a good thing for me. You know what I mean? And not like in an arrogant, like another great fan in very much a like he's vulnerable and just like, phew, thank goodness that this was the take.
Or just that every fan is hard won. And he, anytime he gets any kind of praise, it's like, okay, maybe I'm not the worst writer on earth, which is how we all feel about our own work.
Exactly.
Another check to cash. Phew.
I have 2 feels. One, there is a lot of things that happen in this movie outside in the freezing cold, which don't make sense. But I will say, Christmas markets that also has an outdoor movie projected. It's a Wonderful Life. Love that. I was watching this movie and I was like, does it get more Christmassy at some point? And then we got the Christmas market and it all worked. It all made sense to me. But I just want to say that like this was wrong. Like you knew what you were doing and it was wrong. They make it rain in this movie. They make Jake run outside in a white shirt to a car, lean down, put his arms in such a manner.
It's like this
to
too.
where his muscles are just there with that did not belong in this movie. That belongs somewhere, just not here. Not here, not now.
I let me piggyback on that. I would argue that yes, there's never a bad time for a Justin Hartley wet t-shirt moment, but maybe not in a movie outside in December where clearly there is snow on the ground and he doesn't die of hypothermia in the next scene.
Can we paint the picture here? It's 40 degrees and raining. Yeah. A woman has just been told by a man that he will not help her find her biological mother because it would require him speaking to his father. And in that moment, he runs out in a tight white shirt and then he doesn't like lean on the car.
No.
He brings his arms out like this.
Like in push-up position.
It's like Val Kilmer checking his watch in Top Gun, you know. It's all designed
like vertical plank. To tell her, like, it is the wildest scene in this movie that just doesn't belong. I've never seen anything like it.
Can I pose a question to you guys, just what you think was going on? Was that Justin Hartley's choice as an actor, or was the director like, come on, man, you gotta do that? And he's like, all right.
For the fans.
It's just like it's raining down. It's like, all right, cut. We're going to get one more. But this time, Justin, just go, like, how would you not lean against a car? Show me the least comfortable lean.
Let's bring Justin's trainer in here.
That's right. Let's go right here. This is the one.
Justin, this time, imagine it's porn o'clock. What would you do? What would you do? Just if it was, hypothetically. How would you do this? How would you handle this?
Delivering a pizza. And
that's right. Alonzo, feels for you?
My feels were pretty performance-based. I thought James Remar was terrific, even though we'll get into why a lot of the stuff in his scenes don't make sense. But, you know, he had such an impression on me as a youth, as the bad guy in 48 Hours. So when I see him in stuff like Sex and the City and this, where he gets to do different facets of his personality, that's always really fun. And I really love Bonnie Bedelia in this, particularly the sort of arc that she has where she gets on a dating app for the first time in decades and immediately meets a dude and they, you know, like have a lovely time together. It is so easy for these movies to fall into the, oh, horny old lady, isn't that hilarious tropes. And for them to sort of take seriously the idea of this completely self-actualized woman of a certain age who wants to enter the dating pool again and is open to intimacy and presenting that in a really straightforward way. I'm like, yay, movie. Yes, more of that, please.
Dana?
Yeah, I love the Bonnie Bedelia storyline of Bedelia. Either way, getting on the dating app was great. And then anytime our two leads are looking at each other, I mean, it's just spark central. The chemistry was crazy. Like, I was like, are these two together offset? Like that was where the chemistry was for this
Even
movie.
when he's wet planking.
Yes, that's right. Wet vertical plank. Yeah.
Well, let's take one more quick break. We'll come back with the wait what's, because I imagine there's a few of them here on deck. The Netflix. Was that better?
That's way
good.
Really good. Yeah.
We're back, everybody. Happy Monday to ya. We're talking about the Noel Diary, and it's time for the Wait What's. We talk about what in this movie made us go wait what's. And Jax, I will start with you.
Yeah, there are a lot that I'm sure we're all gonna get to. So I guess just the two biggest for me, and when it really started to fall apart in my world, because I think it took longer for me than it did for the rest of you guys. You know how I am. I'm just like, if there's good acting, and sometimes even if there's not, like, I'm fine. But it did start to fall apart when they were sharing the room together. I thought the reference, the very self-referential with the rom-com thing earlier was funny. Like, oh, we're going to be sharing a room. Then when they're actually sharing a room, I just wanted to know what the time before that looked like. She has changed to a sexy outfit. She has straightened her hair, but they're like sharing a room. So is she like doing that when he's like hanging out too? It just seemed uncomfortable.
Why are you straightening your hair? Why are you doing that?
It's been raining, you know. That's your asking for trouble.
Yeah.
You got plans or something?
It just felt so. I felt embarrassed, and I was cringing. I was just like, this is no. And look, I think there's lots of nuances to connections. And I'm not someone who really gets as bothered by an infidelity plot line, but this really cheapened it for me. Like, even the way she puts out the candle with her fingers, like, why would she do that? I mean, maybe that's sexy. You guys tell me. I don't know. But yeah, it just, and then her leaving the way that she did without even saying goodbye. Like, look, we live in a patriarchy, and but like, this is like a time when like only a woman could get away with doing that and not be villainized. Like, she leaves him and is like, doesn't even wake him up to say like, thanks
She
for the
leaves a
great.
note.
Her performance covers a multitude of sins for that character arc, because that character arc is absurd.
I do want to picture Barrett Doss getting this script and being like, because I'm a fan of hers. I hadn't seen her in anything before. Now I'm a Barrett Doss fan, but just being like, you know what? I'm great. I can make this mess work. And she did. She made me like that character. But whoa. So those were my two biggest. But then just how the rest of it played out, where you said it earlier, Dan. I was like, wait, how can this movie be ending?
Yeah.
What's even happening? Didn't meet the mom. It just felt like it started like crashing and burning as we like careened into the last, for me, 20 minutes.
Yeah, to put a point on it, in that scene where they really cheat, like, it's so obvious that she straightened her hair that I've noticed, right? Like, so it's the scene starts and I'm like, oh, she straightened her hair. Like, she's actively planning to cheat. Like, this is like, we were no longer like, we're past like, oh, what if it happens that like we're premeditated at this point. And then they dance and then they go away and Bran's like, you're going to dance like that and not kiss? I said, Bran, this is about to happen. Like, it's about to happen.
Going down.
Like, there's no world where it's not. And
it might be happening right now and we just can't see below the screen. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I just love that they were like dancing and their lips were just like right there. And then it cuts to him bringing a cake in. And like, I'm supposed to assume that they didn't kiss.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing their first kiss now. Not buying it. Not buying it. But, you know, whatever.
There was cake.
There was cake.
You
stay right
Priorities.
there. You stay right there.
There apparently was a cake that someone made in the hotel.
I love that he called and said,
you just have a cake?
You got a cake?
Because they didn't have time to make a whole cake. You got a cake? Yeah, we got a cake. Sure. We'll bring you a whole cake right now.
Oh, and one question for you guys before we move on. Do you think it was her actual birthday, or she just lied to get some
That's a what the flicks for the ages right there.
You have to
Did you think is she that much of a monster that not only is she doing all this, but she said, I'm gonna tell him it's my birthday and see what he does? That is
clinch the deal.
That is unreal right there.
No man can resist.
No, you gotta start running now. That is wow. Sheesh.
Yeah. Any more, Jax?
No, I think you guys will plenty cover it.
Oh, we will.
I have a few. There were some like just like weird lines that she would say. That is like, she just would say things as a matter of fact, and then he would sit with these lines and you'd be like, I don't think that's true. Like this one. It's a long shot, but isn't everything?
Nope.
I don't think so. You said it in such a way to where I believe it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think that's true.
We ordered dinner just now. Will we get the food we asked for? It's a long shot.
It's a long shot. It's a long shot. So, okay. So they're at dinner at this Italian restaurant.
Yep.
She says, we're going to split. We're separate checks.
Yes.
She at this point doesn't know that he is famous, rich author. At this point, she thinks that he's a struggling artist, just like her parents. So she's going to handle this. We'll split it. We'll split it. They cut to the next scene. They're pulling into his driveway.
House, yeah.
And we hear ADR where it becomes very clear that he paid for the food.
That's right.
He paid for the whole meal.
That's right. He says it.
And I don't know why they did it.
Yes.
This is another thing where there's like, that's an interesting choice. I don't know why they decided we have to ADR him right now before she knows that he's rich, saying that he paid for the meal.
They already established that they split the check. And then on the way home, you hear the ADR and he says, yeah, no. It's great that I paid for the whole meal. Like he says
I think they felt like maybe viewers would think he was trying to pull one over on her if he didn't like cough up the cash. It was
weird.
It was very,
it was
very
so
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how long they want us to believe it took for them to put the lights on that Christmas tree, but they're like interspersing conversations. We hear 4 or 5 starts of different conversations while they're putting the lights on the tree, like conversations that aren't really related in any way. So I don't know how long it took them to set up that tree, but they ran the gamut. They caught up for lost time, and they talked about literally everything you could want to talk about while putting the lights on the tree. I don't know in what world you go and you find Noel at the hospital and you say, I have to talk to you. I don't know whose idea it was to go on top of the roof in the freezing cold to have this conversation.
We need a quiet place to talk, preferably high and very cold.
You know how it's cold outside? You know how it's cold outside, like on the surface? Let's go higher.
Let's go to the 12th
Let's go
floor.
higher. Yeah. Let's have this conversation even higher. I don't know. That was weird. That was a weird decision. And my last one is he finds all of the envelopes of the letters that his dad had sent over the years that he didn't know about. And I loved this fact that the letters were like printed. The addresses were printed on the envelope. So this guy who lives in the cabin in the woods figured out, you know what? I'm going to print these. I'm going to print these.
I've got all these ink cartridges just going to waste.
Just got going to waste. I never print anything.
Got to print them.
Yeah, lose them or use them. Use them or lose them is the other way to say it. Yeah. I love that. Alonzo?
Oh boy. Okay. So I love that instead of actual character development for this guy, we just get like the set deck to tell us how deep he is. It's like, ooh, he collects vintage typewriters, and ooh, he likes Nina Simone. And look, Nina Simone was my first dance at my wedding. I'm not throwing shade on that, but it's such a dumb shorthand for like he's so deep. But my favorite is his childhood bedroom, where on one wall is the Larry Bird jersey, and on the other one is a framed poster that just says French New Wave. That's like having a framed poster that says Westerns on it. Like it's a genre. It's not a specific movie. It doesn't look like it went to some sort of festival. It's just French New Wave. Okay, great.
Justin Hartley looks like he was crafted in a lab. And so what they did was, like, what if we crafted the perfect person in a lab too? Like he's a man's man, loves sports, but also French New Wave.
Yes. Yeah. The AI website developed.
That's right. He was walking past a poster store talking about how much he loves French Wave. And the poster guy came out and said, have I got a poster for you?
And it's
very
framed.
Specific poster just for you.
All right, so he arrives at the mother's house, and she's a hoarder, and there's stacks of crap everywhere. And underneath some of those stacks of crap is this ancient Steinway piano that is perfectly in tune.
That's right. Yep.
This is a woman who did not let people inside of her house because it was loaded with all the stuff that she wasn't throwing away. And yet somehow either a piano tuner forced his way in or she did it herself. But that piano plays perfectly the second he sits down at it. Well, we talked about wet t-shirt winter. Oh, he starts a fire in the fireplace and then leaves.
That's right.
Leaves the house with the fire just roaring. I'm like, okay, that's one way to collect the insurance money, I guess.
That's right. And the fireplace clearly in good condition because it almost caught on fire already.
Yeah. Totally. This is, I think, the wait what I've ever found in one of these.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, I've got a big one. I hope you take it right now.
Follow me here. All right. Our heroine is trying to find her lost birth mother. She stumbles upon her diary. She has her hands on her diary when her mother was pregnant. Mm. This is like this amazing treasure trove. I'm going to put this aside so I can read his airport novel.
Yes. Dude, she is doing a page a day on my mom's only words I've ever read, but she has an entire evening for a French suspense novel. What's
Like,
happening?
when she comes back to reading the diary after the book, I'm like, whoa. You mean to tell me you put that on your tummy to get to this pile so you could read his? Oh my God.
Well, you
But
can't
Alonzo.
you can't spy on someone laying sexy reading a diary.
That's right. Yeah.
It's true.
Alonzo, you've seen Justin Hartley in a wet T-shirt. I mean, come on. my mom's words
Mom, I'll
don't
get to
even
you.
know. Yeah.
But
no
she
problem.
read an entire novel, Jack. She didn't spend all that time with Justin Hartley. She read like an entire, like, even if it's like a John le Carre spy novel, like it's still fiction. Like it's available at any time.
Words. It's his words.
Okay. All right. Good defense. If you say so.
So apparently, no, I'm not done.
Well, keep going.
Apparently, the Christmas tradition of this family is let's tell the story of the older brother's death.
Yes.
Yes. He starts telling it. We have that weird cutaway, so we don't hear it, and then we get to the father later, who tells the story to someone who presumably already knows it and was there when it happened. And
That's
bears
right.
the emotional scars. Why is he telling him?
I didn't even think about that.
I will say this.
She just heard the story yesterday.
But
yeah, and he knows it. It happened to him.
Telling it to him. The way I understood it is Justin Hartley was so young. His memory is his brother fell off the tree, and James Remar is telling the story to say, I felt bad about this, and this is why I left.
Okay.
And so, like, you were too young to know all these details. This is what happened. But still, it's wild that this is happening again.
I also want to piggyback on that regarding Jake's memory in that he does not remember Noel when I'm sorry, by the time you're 4, if you have like a live-in housekeeper nanny who dotes on you, you will have at least a vague recollection that happened.
Yeah. That was a tough one too. Yeah. Her not reading her mom's diary is maybe the wait what of the year. And that was great. But how the diary gets in the car is as big a wait what for me, I believe, because she opens up the glove box, pulls out the diary, the backpack. They're on the road. She starts reading it, and it's like, oh my gosh, Justin Hartley read this, knows it, put it away, and is keeping it from her. He's a monster. And then she's like, did you read this? And his line was, and I want to make sure I get this right, this was in a box marked personal. It was my mom's. I didn't open it. I just took it with me. So this guy has like boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. And he just decides on a whim, I'm going to take this one leather-bound book. I'm just going to, I'm going to take a flyer here. I'm going to just say, you know what? This feels right. The Holy Spirit's moving. I'm going to put this in the car and just see what happens.
He's going to read it after he rereads his own first book.
That's right. Yeah. It feels like it would be a good read, but I've not opened it yet. I just happen to take the one thing that has all the evidence in it. I happen to take it with us. Road trip. Like what in the world, man? Like, just do a better job of explaining something. I got to be honest. The person that decides to showcase that they know a foreign language at a restaurant by speaking it to a server is a type of person for sure. But the person that does that when they're with someone who's by them, like who they've never met before, and just does it, like comes over and that waiter is completely ready to speak English. And she's like, no, full Italian. That's a move. I can't believe it. I can't imagine. Alonzo speaks fluent Spanish and he'll be like, well, I don't know if I was fluent Spanish, blah, blah, blah. He speaks fluent Spanish. He would not be caught. Like for him to not know someone and to break that out with someone he didn't know would be crazy, right?
Okay, look, Daniel, if I took you to a Spanish restaurant and I could tell the waiter spoke Spanish, I would communicate with him and ask about stuff, but I would also be making sure to include you in the conversation and not do the thing that she does, which is to freeze out Justin Hartley like, I'm just here parlando italiano.
But here's the other thing is me. Like if we went together to a restaurant, you wouldn't probably start with that. Like you would at least be like, hey, I speak Spanish. I'm going to just like, what do you think? And I'd be like, yeah, order all the tapas. Order all the tapas, Alonzo. Like I'm here for it. she says a lot of crazy things, but when she starts talking about how maps are nicer than GPS, that was really, really difficult. And then she says it's a tactile thing in a virtual world. Do you think you're on an Oculus right now? Like you're in a car.
That's exactly what I'm talking about with the VR stuff, man. You can't trust it.
You're in a car. Like, and not only that,
there's no way to know if you are.
Snow starts coming down and they're like, we're not going to get out of here before the winter storm. I want to be clear. The automobile they're driving is designed for winter storms.
Right.
And then they show them driving through winter storms the rest of the movie. And if for some reason they have to stay in this place with one bed, with like, for a night or whatever. And it's like, or that maybe that was the adjoining rooms, excuse me. And I like it just doesn't make any sense. Their if they had taken the Prius, okay, I buy it.
Well, I got a kick out. So when they drove away in his car, I was like, why not take the Prius? Gas mileage, it's a hybrid, etc. But, you're going to hit some snow, so maybe it makes sense. But then it turns out that the reason why the boyfriend was mad that she's on the trip is because of gas money, which I just found very ironic and very funny.
Yeah.
This all could have been avoided if we just took the Prius.
I think the whole tactile thing is meant to connect her to him because he likes typewriters. He likes vinyl,
Mm-hmm.
They're the same.
I've got two more quick ones. This movie starts with a group of children carolers who are rounding a corner in a neighborhood and all of a sudden break out 3-part harmony. And I just, for the life of me, I'm like, wow.
It was good, though.
It's impressive. And then are we to believe that neither of them ever slept the night that she's reading the book and he's trying to write? Because when he peeks around the corner and we see his book and those gams, she is finishing the last page of that book. And like, she's like, like blown away by the ending. And then the next scene is like, well, how'd you sleep? She's like, I stayed up all night reading a book. Well, if she stayed all night reading a book, then he stayed up all night writing. Like, then neither one of them went to bed at all. They never even attempted it.
It's definitely a thing where all of these places are incredibly well heated, including his mother's hoarder den, because everybody's wearing the skimpiest nothing inside, even though there's a blizzard outside.
That's right.
Yeah, I know it.
That's all I got.
Let's do the what the flick. So we talk about any questions that we still had that we'd like some answers to. Jax.
I mean, yeah, the big one about was it really her birthday? Also, like, what did she tell poor Alan? Did she do it in person, or did she just FaceTime break up with him, or is she not broken up with him?
She left him a note.
There's no way Alan didn't see this guy walking away from her window with a dog. Like, he's pulling up. Alan pulls up when he's still out there. So Alan's going to go in and be like, I saw this guy outside the window with a dog. You know anything about that? So with the dog guy in the snow.
He was really attractive.
The snow is really coming down, and this guy, he has a dog.
I'm pretty sure.
He's just staring at your window, Blake.
The lighting was unbelievable.
Do you have a hot stalker?
You know anything about this guy? You know anything about this guy?
I also want to go back in time and figure out what it was. I mean, it's a very different movie and a very painful one, but I'm very interested in this, of the whole split up of Jake's parents, because I know that his dad is saying, like, your mom and I just couldn't be there for each other, and I thought it'd be better she'd fall apart without you, but she fell apart anyway, so you're leaving this. Like, what happened in this family? I mean, it's a tragedy that I think would be actually very interesting to explore. Do you guys know the play Rabbit Hole? Or the movie Rabbit Hole?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like it's like that I would be very interested in watching, but it's not going to be light holiday fare.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, I my biggest thing is I just want to know why they decided to include him talking to Noel and not her daughter. It is the biggest question I've had, I think, this whole holiday season.
Bewildering.
I'm shocked by it. I didn't really care if he met her. I didn't care. I did not care. I cared if she met her. And I still don't know if she has. I don't know if she has. It bothers me. I'm not going to be able to sleep.
They don't
tonight.
even kiss at the end of this movie. They just stare and then it just goes to black.
Yeah,
terrible ending.
Well, they already knocked boots, so it's
that's true.
It's be an afterthought at this point.
True.
That's exactly right.
They had birthday cake, if you know what I mean.
Alonzo?
That was a great laugh. Yeah, I mean, basically, it's some variant of what we're all talking about. It's like it seems like there are important conversations that we don't get to hear. There are important reunions that we don't get to see, so that we can spend time on things that don't matter and that aren't as interesting. So, yeah, the idea of there being a sequel of like, oh, here's all the stuff that you actually wanted to see in the first Noel Diary, but we just kept writing around it. Oops, sorry. So yeah, I feel like there are big chunks of this movie that are just missing.
Yeah. As someone who doesn't care about like art movies, like, was this supposed to be like artsy? Is that why they did it the way that they did it?
No.
Okay.
This is not elliptical. It's just inept.
It wasn't someone's attempt to like, they know the word cinema and they're like, I don't know. I guess I'll just
going for
leave
more of an
stuff out.
impressionistic feeling where you come away with
French New Wave. French
New Wave.
What it was, yeah.
French New Wave.
For sure. I just need to know more about the guy that Bonnie Bedelia is now dating. Badilla, yeah, is now dating. It seems as though we took every English-speaking accent and put them in one big like muddler and just muddled them all up in a molcajete.
Calls him an old boy like at some point.
In like a
what are some of the terms he uses?
Says
mate, old boy.
Like but it's not British and it's not Australian and it's something.
It's like you were born in New Zealand and then went to Essex and then wound up in Brooklyn.
That's right. Yeah, there's a little bit of everything happening there, and I'd love to hear where that guy's from.
Merry Christmas, old boy.
That's right.
But we did it, everybody. Like he doesn't even really like he has an accent, but like also
doesn't.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Is all and none at the same time.
That's exactly right. We did it, everybody. Congratulations. We'll be back next week with Spirited on the Apple Plus. It's gonna be deck the apple next week.
Deck the apple, baby.
An apple. Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark is the That Sounds Fun podcast. It's produced by Tracy Millis Name. It's recorded live in that Greenville, South Carolina. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com.